Good morning and welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for another week of the EFL London Show. I'm your host, George Dagless, and joining me this Thursday morning are Billy Mulley and Chris Thorpe. Billy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. I've got a cold, I must admit. It's one of the million colds that seem to be going around at the moment. Chris, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Obviously, international break, but there's still plenty of talking points to get through, so looking forward to it.
There certainly is. As ever, people at home, people wherever you're watching, do get in touch across Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Any comments you've got on the Capitals clubs in the EFL, do send them in and we'll try and discuss them in the next 20 or so minutes. We are live for the next 20 or so minutes. Right, let's get straight into the action and let's start by talking about Fulham. And we're going to talk Fabio Carvalho. First of all, there was a report from the Daily Mail earlier this week on his contract, essentially saying that he's looking like he probably won't be signing anything until January at least. Currently, as things stand, he's going for a change of management company and he's reluctant to sign a new deal, according to the Mail, until that goes through, which won't be until the start of next year. Billy, let's come to you with this one first of all. How concerning is it for Fulham fans, especially given the fact that obviously his contract at the moment is expiring next summer?
Yeah, they definitely will be concerned because it's a situation that keeps prolonging. I think a week before that Mail Online report came out, Fulham were very confident that he'd sign and sort of put the sort of transfer stories to bed. But when you have the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid in pursuit, you just know anything can change at any given point. I think also Southampton as well are sort of becoming a side that are growing confident that they might be able to strike a deal. I think Leeds as well are also in pursuit. So yeah, the longer the situation goes on, the more anxious you would be as a Fulham fan. But I think the way he's started this season is just shows why the teams in pursuit are in pursuit, because he has been brilliant. You've seen with his movement, his ability when he gets the ball in the final third as well. He creates things, he scores goals, and he's a player that, which is strange enough, that Fulham are looking to for consistency when he's been in the side. That there has been that consistency factor, and placing that on the shoulders of a 19-year-old just shows the kind of player he is and why they really want to tie him down to a new contract.
Chris, maybe I'm being cynical, but does this almost sound like a bit of an excuse that, can't the contract still be sorted even if the management company, is switching? Can't it just be done?
No, I don't think so. And I think the main reason for that is there's so many players nowadays that honestly just don't have a clue about these type of things. And I think he's at an age where he's going to be influenced by, his parents, his family members, agents, left, right and centre by the sounds of things. He's changing management companies at this stage of the season while he's injured as well. Obviously, hopefully coming back soon. I don't think it's much of an excuse, because I generally don't believe that he has full control over his future. Obviously, he has a say in it, but at the end of the day, he's going to be pushed to move on by these agents, because they will get a cut of the fee ultimately. Whether he goes in January or goes in the summer, it's just a fact of football. That's what happens. And to be honest, I'd be worried if I was Fulham, because if he's changing management teams now, it obviously looks like that he's looking to push for a move, and this new company might be able to engineer a move to a bigger club than the one he had previously. So it's very worrying. And yeah, maybe it is an excuse, but at the same time, I just don't think he has full control over his situation, to be honest.
Yeah, it's certainly getting drawn out. In more immediate term, a little bit of better news concerning Carvalho, Billy, is that he's currently on course to return from injury for the QPR game, which is obviously after the international break. Big game between obviously two West London rivals and obviously two teams challenging up at the sharp end of the table too. Do you think, providing that he comes through training unscathed, Marcus Hill will be tempted to throw him straight back into the starting lineup?
Definitely, yeah. And I think that's because of the influence he's had when he's been in the starting lineup. But I said before about how strange it is that they're looking to a 19-year-old for consistency, but that's the situation they're in. And when he has been playing, Fulham at the bottom line, Fulham have been looking a better side, so I think he'll definitely be tempted to throw him in. But at the same time, we don't really know what stage of his recovery he's in. It might be sort of a case where his fitness is a little bit lacking, so he might need sort of 20, 30 minutes at the end of the game, and then he can sort of build himself up from there. It depends really of what stage I think of his recovery is in.
Okay, we will see what happens. That rounds up our Fulham section. We obviously just mentioned QPR. Obviously, Fulham and QPR do play after the international break, and it's Rangers that we're going to focus on next. And there's a little bit of a transfer line that we're going to discuss. Sheffield United have been linked with Seny Dieng once again. They were in the summer, of course, when they were looking for a new goalkeeper. Chris, we'll come to you with this first of all. I guess the initial reaction for QPR fans will be, one of concern. Naturally, he's a very good goalkeeper, particularly at this level. But then you look at the table and you think maybe, come the end of this season, there's every chance QPR could be offering Premier League football. Sheffield United might not. So, yes, it's a concerning story, but probably one that's, no time for panic, I would say, just yet.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's testament to the club for the way they sort of developed Dieng since he came back to the club. Obviously, he had that loan spell with Doncaster. He'd done really well. I remember actually seeing him play against Wimbledon a couple of times. And now he's just gone into the Kyan Prince Foundation Stadium and just become the undisputed, number one choice for Mark Warburton. So from that perspective, they should take it as a credit that, other clubs are looking at their players. And at the same time, he's under contract for a good number of years. So, his value is not going to be harmed too much unless the interest came about when he had, 12 months or less left on his deal, which he doesn't, obviously. And you've got to sort of factor in the fact that Sheffield United have got Robin Olsen in there and they're not going to look to sign another goalkeeper while he's still there. So I think if it comes to the summer, then I think they would, perhaps take it a bit more seriously from QPR's perspective. The interest at the moment is just sort of potentially sounding them out as a potential candidate for the Blades, like when it comes to the summer. So yeah, at this moment, it's a tad concerning, but not too much, I would say.
Okay, yeah, we'll see how that one develops. Of course, if it does die, there's every chance could remain at QPR far past this season. One more Championship side to focus on in the capital, and that's Millwall. And it's some interesting news away from the pitch for the Lions. Chief Executive Steve Cavan has confirmed the club have bought a significant area of land, quote marks, in Kent, with a view to developing a new high-end training complex. Billy, this is really important news for Millwall, isn't it? It's something that the club have needed to do for a while, I would say, and it's just another step towards them. Obviously, eventually they want to try and become a Premier League club, don't they? Of course they do, as a Championship side, and this they will feel is another step in the right direction towards becoming that.
Yeah, as a Championship side that have threatened the playoff positions quite often in recent years. Yeah, Millwall do have those aspirations to become a Premier League club. I remember seeing a video or documentary, I forgot what it was, a couple of years back of Millwall's training ground, and it was fully functional, but it was very small, and you could tell that those plans should have been in place sort of before that. And now that they are there, then that's a really exciting thing for them. I think it doesn't just help the players that are at the club now. It's also a big pull factor for players that they want to be in, because ultimately this is a place that they'll be coming to work every day, playing football every day. So it has to be a place that they want to be at. That's the ultimate factor within it. And I think it also shows that ambition that they're this Championship club at the moment, sort of flirting around the mid-table positions. And this is sort of a statement of intent that they do want to reach the Premier League, and that those ambitions are intact, and they're striving towards that as soon as possible, really. So I think it definitely helps everyone around the club, coaches too. They can plan more sort of expansive drills that they can't currently do at their training ground, and bring in sort of more personnel tailored to sort of the everyday functions of a football club.
Yeah, certainly good news for Millwall. Certainly, it's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. That's news that they bought some a significant area of land. They're describing it in Kent, and with a view to a nice new training complex. It's really good news for the Lions. Right, let's move into League One. Let's talk AFC Wimbledon. Chris, we'll come to you with this one. Obviously, you're a Wimbledon fan, and your club's had a little bit of a set too, I think it's fair to say, with Ty, of all people, from Arsenal Fan TV. I think it's best if we just open the floor to you and sort of let you describe what happened, how it's come about, and you know what Mark Robinson's had to say about it as well.
Yeah, no. So obviously we played Arsenal in the Carabao Cup and lost 3-0, unfortunately. And then after the game, Arsenal Fan TV have their fan cams, which is obviously what they really put themselves on the map with because of how popular they were. And obviously Ty's a character that everyone knows, pretty well from his appearances on there. And he was talking about the game, and then he sort of referred to us as nobodies. Obviously a bit of a kick in the teeth to us, and didn't really find it that respectful to either us as fans and also our coaching staff. Mark Robinson included. So yeah, no, it didn't go down well. And yeah, I think the sort of feeling is now that we sort of want to educate Ty a bit more about what our club's about and how we're looking to progress in the future. So yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll have some sort of a meeting scheduled in the future with Ty so that we can discuss things further in a more appropriate manner rather than calling each other nobodies and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it was a very, very strange episode and some strange comments from him, but there you go. That's the kind of character he is. He is controversial.
Yeah, well, we certainly got us talking about him. So, do their job well. I guess Chris as well, though. You look at the way Wimbledon went about their business at Arsenal. They gave a really good account of themselves as well, didn't they? So it's just a little bit harsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It didn't help. We conceded a penalty 10 minutes in, but aside from that, we held our own until the 77th minute when they got the second goal through. I think it was Smith Rowe actually. Yeah, he came on as a substitute. They bring him and Saka on. So when they're bringing the big hitters on, you can tell that we've actually done something right. And yeah, we kept the ball really well for long periods, and you could feel the frustrations building amongst the Arsenal fans. It's just a shame we didn't have more shots on target. And I think in the end, I sort of definitely came away from the game feeling a bit more disappointed than I did happy about it, because you kind of expect, no matter the opposition, you expect to at least create some chances and work the goalkeeper. We had a few half chances, but that was about it really. So yeah, overall disappointing, but definitely some positives to take away from it for sure.
Certainly was. Okay, one other League One side to talk about in terms of the Capitals clubs, and that's Charlton Athletic. Charlton named a pretty strong side earlier this week in the EFL Trophy to beat Southampton's under-21s. Probably a good idea from Nigel Adkins to try and build a little bit of momentum after a very much needed win last weekend against Fleetwood Town. There were reports though, Billy, that the likes of West Ham United, Chelsea, Manchester United were all in attendance at the Vale, taking a look at players from both sides, both Charlton and the Southampton kids. And one player that caught the eye, by all accounts, for Charlton at least, was Deji Elaware. Are you worried for Charlton? He's obviously a very young player. He's got a lot of talent. He looks like another Charlton player that's coming through the ranks. That's potentially going to be moving to the Premier League or a very big club sooner rather than later. But there's also the case to say that maybe a move would be too early. Maybe they're just monitoring him for now.
Well, yeah, as you say, Charlton have produced some gems before who have gone sort of at the same age as Deji is now at sort of 16, 17, haven't really had a first team chance. But I'm always caught in two minds when these sorts of stories come into the attention, really, because one way, it's obviously frustrating that these young players are going before they get a first team chance, really, and sort of showcasing themselves at the Valley. But on the other hand, whilst it's never really too high of an initial figure, usually the add-ons that are involved will become sort of a source of income in the future if he does sort of hit the heights of the Premier League, hit the heights of becoming an England player, representing his country, and sort of all the add-ons that come in with that. So there's always negatives when it first happens, but I think that the future rewards sometimes outweigh that.
Yeah, certainly. Chris, what do you make of this story? I mean, you look at the clubs linked: Chelsea, Man United, West Ham. Is there a particular club that, if they did end up going for him, is there a particular club that you could see would be best suited for him?
I'd just say Chelsea, to be honest. I know that make it to the first team, but I just think it's such an attractive club at the moment, having won the Champions League and also the record that they have at youth level. They've won the FA Youth Cup the most times. Don't quote me on that. I'd need to check my facts, but I'm pretty sure they have. And they've got such good facilities at Cobham as well. Everything about the club is just attractive. And I don't know many young players that wouldn't want to move there, to be honest. As Billy quite rightly alludes to, and yourself, Charlton are just a club that keep on churning out these young players, and it's no surprise to see yet another one linked with such a big move. I think it's a good sort of process that they got in place where they do sell them for quite a bit of money, but they're not going to hold on to their best young players unless they start going up the leagues, which is obviously what Thomas Sandgaard wants to do. I think he said he wants to be in the Premier League in a few years' time. Obviously, not looking good on that aim at the moment because of their league form. But yeah, no, it's just a fact that they've got to live up to, really, that they're going to lose these young players the longer they stay in League One.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough score when you're in League One, trying to keep hold of these young players. We'll have to see how Charlton do. That's Deji Aleri getting looked at by Manchester United, Chelsea and West Ham. Just before we go, let's look at the two League Two clubs from the capital, Leyton Orient and Sutton United. Orient are facing Barrow this weekend. Billy, what do you make of this one? It's probably an opportunity for Orient to try and get 3 points on the board, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely an opportunity after sort of what happened at the weekend, the manner of the defeat, and obviously before that 0-0 draw against Mansfield. That was equally as frustrating. But Barrow this season, they're sort of like Harrogate. They had their season in League Two, adapting to the challenges of it, and then now they're looking very promising. I think they're just sitting outside the playoffs at the moment. Really strong home record, lost just once, and that was a late goal. So I'm expecting a really tight game here, because I've been singing Orient's praises throughout these London shows in recent weeks. But also the opposition that they've been coming up against seem to be the informed teams, and adding to that as well, Barrow are a side that have been involved in just one game where the winning margin was more than one. So it's going to be another sort of grindy game where they're going to have to grind out to win. But with Orient, we've seen already they've got a strong squad, a good manager. Their attacking options are very good, sort of coming in the wings with Drinan and Archibald. Harry Smith's been scoring lots of goals. Great options on the bench as well, with the Cypriot pair of Sotorio and Cipriano. And they're a team that are perhaps one of the best squads in the division, and that should help them against a side who are going to be very tough to break down.
Yeah, what's your score prediction for this one, Billy?
I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, yeah, I can see a 1-1 draw too. Chris, what do you make of this one?
With Barrow, I just don't feel they have enough quality to sort of trouble Orient too much. So I would go for an win. I'd say 2-1.
Okay, well, at least Orient aren't going to be losing according to our predictions this weekend. One more team to talk about before we go, and that's Sutton United. Sutton are at home this weekend. They host high-flying Port Vale. Billy, that's going to be another tough test for Sutton, isn't it? They just keep sort of coming in League Two. Yeah.
Port Vale will be fresh off that victory against Leyton Orient, 2 late goals to win it. So they'll be in confidence. 4 games as well that they've won on the trot. So it's going to be a very difficult test for Sutton. But Sutton are equally, they're on brilliant form as well, on the back of a 4-0 win against Carlisle and 2-0 away to Northampton, who I think we've said before are a very tough side to break down. So I think Sutton have finally hit their stride, and that they're inflicting a lot of damage on teams at the moment. And it's going to be, it's a game where one of these records are going to have to prevail. Port Vale, as I said before, they're just looking like a side that have come out of nowhere, really, in terms of the wins they've been picking up. They've played some strong sides as well in Swindon, Harrogate, and then obviously that game against Leyton Orient at the weekend. The good thing for Sutton is that goals are also coming from a lot of different avenues. Lots of different scorers are getting on the sheet, and that's what you need to break down a side that are winning all the time. They can't really nullify a single threat because these threats are coming from all over the place.
Well, what's your score prediction then?
I'm gonna be boring again and go for a 1-1 draw because I just can't pick out a winner because both sides are showing a lot of promise at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I'm just going to go for a narrow Port Vale victory. I do like the way they're looking at the moment. I'm going to go 2-1 to Valiance. And Chris, just before we go, how do you see this one going?
Yes, apologies for the background noise. I think a draw would be a pretty good prediction, actually. So I'll agree with Billy on this one. I'm going to go for 1-1. And I think that would be a result that Sutton would be really pleased about.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think they'd be very pleased. I think if you offered them a point now, even if they are at home, obviously against the Port Vale side that's going really well in League Two, they'd certainly be pleased with that. Right, that brings an end to the EFL London show this week. We'll be back next Thursday. Coming up later on Football League World TV, we've got the Preston North End fan club takeover. Ben Wignall in the hot seat for that one. That brings an end, though, to this morning show and the EFL London show. Billy, Chris, thank you very much for joining me this morning. People at home, thank you very much as well for joining us too. If you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Football League World TV, that would be greatly appreciated. But for now, it's bye from us.